Astilion's Unbidden Guardian, pre-landing, before 2164. When I dubbed Astilion the youngest continent, I feel I may have confused some, so allow me to clarify. Astilion is no younger than anywhere else, or at least not younger than the greater Oldenhir to its south. Instead, Astilion is named the youngest due to its isolation from the rest of the world until quite recently. Well, recently in an anthropological sense anyway, having only been first visited by the civilized world less than 1,000 years ago in 2164. Before that time, it was sealed away, warded by the ferocious sea beast Vomostrom. Vomostrom was, by all accounts, an enigma. He was, for want of a better term, a sea dragon. Fashioned by many as Vomostrom the Terrible, he ravaged the sea between Astilion and Oldenhir, sinking any ship that dared venture too far toward his unbidden charge, unerringly dragging any vessel that violated his borders to the crushing black depths along with its crew. Though many recountings of the beast differ, largely in this scholar's opinion, due to the propensity for sailors to spin greater yarns than have ever been heard elsewhere, some striking details of him do stem from factual and trustworthy accounts. Particularly of note was his exceptional intelligence. Vomostrom was said to have been able to speak, although this was exceedingly rare, and accounts exist of his speaking as many as 6 languages. And while those aforementioned trustworthy accounts are mum to his true proportions, old sailor stories from all over the coast posit that he was anywhere from 40 foot long end to end and 10 foot around to over 300 foot long and 70 foot around. Accounts of his head differ as well, with just as many declaring that he bore the head of a man as those who declare that he bore the head of a dragon or worm. The variations in the accounts have even led some to postulate that the horror was some sort of shapeshifter. In this humble archivist's opinion, though, I believe that these conjectures are victims of bad scholarship and of believing one too many tall tales. Frankly, I believe that the creature was merely a large one, likely toward the middle of the difference between the 2 estimates above, and bore the angular face of an aquatic creature. After all, that is what he was. The stories of him having the face of a man are nothing more than that, old salted drunks' tales. Other such embellishments, like the droll contentions that his voice could rupture the bodies of those aboard the ships he attacked, are similarly laughable. Regardless, what is left for serious scholarly discourse, and indeed the most oft-discussed aspect about Vomostrom, is his reason for protecting Astilion. It seems as though his service was wholly unbidden. With what we know now about this continent, namely that its previous settlers died out near to 10,000 years before the time of writing, it would seem that Vomostrom's desire for guardianship of the continent was wholly unrequited. In no recorded speech of his did he ever declare his true intentions or goals. Any belief that he was bidden by the so-called old folk to guard what remains of their settlement on Astilion is wholly ahistoric, and sourced entirely from those same old wives' tales that muddy the factual record on this subject so intently, and are discrediting to even the least self-respecting of many so-called scholars. Whatever his motivations, what is most important for this record is his slaying, which marked the end of thousands of years of isolation from Astilion. Much is written about this event, but little is proven. Among the more popular theorems for his slaying is that a lone magician by the name of Oakenhere, of unknown origin and features, miraculously slew the scourge of many generations in a conveniently unrecorded manner. However, the sheer vagueness with respect to this Oakenhere's identity means this story's academic value is suspect at best. Some particularly jaded scholars believe he simply passed away of natural causes or merely left, but they have yet to prove their case. With his disappearance, the Kakaran Empire was finally able to charter expeditions to the long-waiting continent, the first of which set off 2 months before the first landing on 7 Dober 2164.